Good afternoon, sports fans. It's Mark Old Up Skyhopper, and here on the Sports Insanity Network, brought to you by the Dugout of Millwood for a little old ops guy rant, so to speak, because considering I am doing this a little bit backwards because my computer decided to catch the SIN virus somehow and is being refixed, hopefully back to me by tomorrow. We got the Detroit Lions, my team from day one that I picked up as a blitzer. Obviously, my Cowboys couldn't seem to get it done against the Swiss cheese of the Packers, but hey, I'm a Dallas fan. I'm due for a rapid repeat, hell, and loss. But we're not here to talk about Dallas. Dealing with the Detroit Lions coming into this season, the Detroit Lions were, I want to say, destined to have a big season. And they did it with such fashion that by halfway through the season, all anybody could really talk about were the Lions because they were out ahead so much in the North. However, the tides kind of turned, but not for the offense. The offense had been solid even throughout the close games. It was the defense that started to break down, and not the whole defense. The secondary. The secondary seemed to dissipate and fade off and let teams get back in it so easily. And it gave us a little bit of concern. However, the Detroit Lions ended up winning the NFC North for the first time. Congratulations to them on that. They played a heart stopper against the Rams. They went out and beat a surging Tampa Bay team now. Hats off to Baker Mayfield. He's going to do wonders and hopefully have a better time down in Tampa Bay. I'm sure they have plans for him. But the defense, even though it let Tampa Bay back in it, it was ultimately the defense with the last second interception, which was actually a nice snag over the center, and has brought Detroit to the spot that every fan except fans in California have been waiting for. It's the Detroit Lions are now in the NFC Championship game against the team which we all thought was really going to be there, the San Francisco 49ers. And let's all be honest, we might want to say our teams were good, but we all knew the 49ers were going to be there in the end. Jared Goff versus Brock Purdy. Goff had an amazing year with 4,575 yards, 30 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Purdy, 4,280 yards, 31 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Talk about an even matchup here at quarterback. I mean, there is no one up on each other. They both have different traits. They're both quick. They can read their receivers very well. But there's one thing that, if anything, I give to Jared Goff is experience. That's it between the two. There is no contest at running back. Christian McCaffrey is, I mean, Mike Rifkin and I had, and all of us really have been going back and forth that there needs to be some sort of different way for MVP. Make it a quarterback group and a running back group if you have to, because Christian McCaffrey, there is nobody more valuable than him on a field. And containing him is going to be up to Aiden Hutchinson and the rest of this defense, because you can't forget where he is. He's not like your average running back. This is one of the best dual threats since Marshall Faulk, in my opinion. I mean, I'm sure others can say many a different name, and plenty come to mind. But Christian McCaffrey is tough to deal with, so you're sure Aiden Hutchinson will be focused on him. For Detroit, Detroit doesn't have a number one running back, and they don't need to right now. They have probably the most solid two-headed running back system in football, at least top three, between David Montgomery and rookie Jahmyr Gibbs. Okay. Both of them almost, well, David Montgomery did eclipse 1,000 yards, Jahmyr Gibbs right behind it. And there's something they both do very well, and that it not as good as Christian McCaffrey, but are utilized like him. They both can catch out of the backfield. And that is time you see a different change and a different way that it's being done with this Detroit offense. You look over at the wide receiver. Amara St. Brown versus whether you want to put it as Deebo Samuel or you want to put it as Brandon Ayuk. Whoever you want to consider as your number one, it's Deebo really, but Deebo did get injured in that right shoulder. Good news is for San Francisco, I guess Detroit's not happy to hear the fact that he was a limited participant today. They do expect him to be a limited participant tomorrow and a go for Sunday. I mean, there's no way you cannot expect Deebo not to be in there. However, you got Brandon Ayuk as well there. I don't care, and George Kittle. Okay, that's a tough three to fathom and beat. And if the Detroit secondary looks like it did over the last 3 weeks of the season, Brock Purdy's going to have a field day. However, that being said, flip it to the Detroit side. You got him, Ross St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Josh Reynolds, Sam Laporta, and now you just signed Zach Ertz, more probably so as a blocking back, maybe red zone target. But still, it was a smart signing due to the injury, and he's going to fit in well. He'll be fine. Hey, look, maybe he'll end up with a Super Bowl ring out of it. Who knows? What has to be done in this game? And everybody says you gotta clamp down and control Christian McCaffrey. Obviously, that's the key. For me, besides that, let's throw that off the table. You gotta put some pressure on Brock Purdy. Purdy has a good arm. He reads routes well. He's able to lead his runners, but Debo's banged up, so you have to think they're going to take a little bit cautious side with him. Kittle is a dangerous threat over the center, and then Brandon Ayuk is a solid number two and probably will thrive into be a number one somewhere in the next 4 or 5 years. That being said, for Detroit to win, Detroit needs to effectively run the ball on first and second down and then pass. Get Laporta invested early, get Ross St. Brown on some short drags, whatever you got to do, just keep moving the chains. Chew that clock as much as you can. No team is perfect. Eventually, teams compensate. They go to load the box because you're okay. Then you got them, Ross St. Brown, Jameson Williams, and Josh Reynolds, who are all very well capable and very speedy receivers and getting by anybody if you play press. And it's like trying to cover three Tyreek Hills. It's not going to be done like that. There's not going to be that much man press coverage here by San Francisco. So I see a great football game coming out here. I mean, the weather, will be a factor. The crowd will be a factor. But the one thing I will say is I think that the entire United States, with the exception to California, is rooting for Detroit. And still got the Cowboy shirt on, still a diehard Cowboy fan. I'm rooting for Detroit. And not just because I've written about them all year. I want to see this team that went 0-16 and less than a decade later are in the NFC title game. Flip it to the other side. Who will they face? Well, it's going to either be Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson. Whichever team, what may it be Detroit or San Francisco, that's going to be a tough quarterback to deal against. Go Detroit. I hope the Lions win. Let them go on to the Super Bowl, and we'll flip a coin and see who wins that. For now, it's Markle Upside Halpern saying good luck. Come check out the website, www.thesportsinsanitynetwork.com. Check out the podcast on the 101. Check out the sport car breaks that we do. For me and the guys here at SIN, have a great night. Talk to y'all soon.